Thanks for downloading this show from PC One. Before we get rolling, here's a word from one of the folks who helped bring you this podcast. The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting here at 316 Gimmick Street, podcasting my ass off. Hey, welcome to the show. I got a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about nutrition and professional wrestling. I don't know how I can get much better than that, unless we was talking about beer and professional wrestling or whiskey and professional wrestling. Anyway, my guest today is Mark Bell of Super Training Gym over in Sacramento, California. At one time, Mark was one of the strongest human beings walking planet Earth. He's still really, really strong. These days, he's focusing more on his health, his lifting, his training, all of his entrepreneurial projects that he's doing. His brother, Chris Bell, is working on a documentary right now as I record this podcast. Maybe he will be a guest on the show when that documentary gets ready to come out. If you remember, he was the guy who wrote, directed, narrated, whatever the hell you call it, was basically the creative force between bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know if you can hear that helicopter behind me, but it's really pissing me off because I came over here to my little studio to open up a can of audio whoop-ass, and these helicopters, they seem to be about 1,000 feet above my house, and that's a little too close for comfort. But that is life in the big city of Los Angeles, California. We got lots of crime out here. The black and white helicopters flying up above, trying to get a survey on what in the flying F is going on in the streets. I'm about to get in my Ford Bronco and cruise the mean streets of Marina Del Rey to make sure this neighborhood is safe. And dare say, I will definitely take my cold steel broken skull knife and my working man knife with me, along with Hershey the Wonder Dog with a baseball bat, to see what we can do to quell the situation. But I digress. Back to the podcast at hand. As soon as I get done recording this open, I'm going to go out there and do what I just said I was going to do. Well, I tell you what, I'm over here, and I've been doing a lot of damn work this weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend. As you listen to this podcast, yesterday will have been Memorial Day. Hey, man, I'm going to lead you to an Instagram account. My buddy, Scotty Kachera, who I graduated with from Edna High School in 1983, posted a little video of a red, white, and blue American flag waving on his flagpole, probably over at his beach house in South Texas, down there by Edna. And he says his Instagram account is Supersonics, Supersonix. He says, most days I'm a pirate, because a lot of times he flies his pirate flag. Here we go. Today I'm a patriot, the most handsome of all flags, the bravest and strongest of all flags. White signifies purity, red, valor, and blue, vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Memorial Day is a federal holiday for remembering the many men and women who gave their lives so that we may have freedom. And freedom is respecting the rights of others. My buddy Scotty Kachera wrote that on Supersonics, his Instagram account. So respect for Memorial Day for everybody who served and gave their life for our country. Well, I tell you what, we got busy over here at 316 Gimmick Street today. Well, not just today, this entire weekend. A lot of people getting on the road and traveling to see loved ones or going on vacation because they got a long weekend. Well, me and my wife thought about what we wanted to do. We got 3 dogs, one of them being a puppy. Right now, traveling is not in the plans for us. So we decided to hunker down, get in our garage, open the garage door, and start sorting through all the BS and unorganization and sort through things, get everything moved over here to this other place, and get rid of a bunch of junk. So that's exactly what we did. God dang, we worked our ass off. I'm pretty proud of what we were able to accomplish. We're finally starting to get some organization over here, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we completed the remodel. Everything's cool. There's a couple of pendant lights that need to be hung, but other than that, all the work's been done. I ain't gonna flap my gums about that anymore. But, we still haven't, unpacked all of our stuff and got back in the total groove that we were in. So we're a step closer to doing that. And over here next door, I'm making a podcast studio. And next door is the place that we were renting. Well, I'm going to make this into a full-time podcasting studio. And I got 2 rooms of nothing but boxes that came from the Broken Skull Ranch in South Texas. I probably got about 20 porcelain signs, about 6 or 7 or 8 neon clocks, all kinds of stuff that I will eventually hang over here at this place and turn it into a podcast studio. And it's good to see all the stuff that I collected over the years. It was down there at the ranch, so I collected this stuff because I like to look at it, and I don't get a chance to see it enough because, hell, I'd only get a chance to go down to the ranch 2, 3, 4 times a year. Don't get me wrong. Hello, Hershey. I would look at it when I was down there during hunting season, but hell, me and Ted Fowler 361 was too busy riding tractors, hunting, patching fence, patching holes from the hogs, all kinds of stuff to really look at it and enjoy it. So a lot of work getting done over here, man. I tell you what, I'm really excited about it. Today I got a chance to go out and actually do a little bit of yard work. And I like working outdoors because it reminds me a little bit about the Broken Skull Ranch. That's a whole different level of outdoors because you're out there using a chainsaw, you're using a 100-horsepower Komodo air-conditioned tractor, pulling a 15-foot bat wing shredder, filling feeders with corn and protein, that manly kind of stuff, running a weed eater with a 2-stroke engine on it. Well, today, over here at the compound, I busted out the weed eater. And this is a weed eater that my wife has had for close to 20 years. 20 years, and the little son of a gun is only about 5 feet long. Hell, it might be 4.5 feet long. It looks like I'm holding a toothpick when I'm holding this damn thing. And of all things, this thing is electric. So I plug it into a 100-foot extension cord I got over here, and I weed eat the backyard over here at the compound. Now, I never thought in my whole entire life that I would ever be using an electric weed eater. And little rascal is quiet, I'll give it that. I certainly can't be annoying the neighbors because it runs off electricity and all you can hear is a little fishing line swinging around. I don't know how many RPMs it goes, knocking the grass down, cutting it in two. Hell, I ran out of string. I restrung it in about 2 minutes, put the spool back on and kept on going. I don't even think my electricity bill is going to be any higher from running that damn thing. And here's the thing. All you Prius drivers out there riding around high and mighty think you're saving the universe and the ozone layer and all that while you drive your electric hybrid car and you dangle your cigarette out the damn driver's side window and then flick the damn cigarette on the ground at the stop sign or at the stoplight with total disregard and disrespect for the laws of the city or for the respect for the city that you live in or for the fact that you're losing respect for the United States of America. I'm out in my backyard with an electric weeder. I ain't got no Copenhagen in my mouth. I ain't got no skull. I ain't got no tobacco. Damn sure ain't out there using a damn electric weed eater, smoking on a cigarette, throwing it in somebody's yard. Nah, I'm saving the universe 1 yard at a time by using my electric weed eater. And that's the bottom line, 'cause I said so. Well, on another note, and now that I'm through with that damn tangent, the lease on our BMW X5 ran out just the other day. So I took that thing down to the car wash, had it all washed up and detailed on the inside, got all the dog hair out of it. You know, if you turn those things in dirty or beat up or whatever the hell you happen to them under your watch for the 3-year lease that you paid for the car, they'll charge you an arm and a leg. Hell, I damn near had the oil changed in it. But anyway, we're down to just a couple vehicles now. My wife will now start driving my Range Rover SUV, and I will go back to driving my 95 Ford Bronco, white and silver, 41,000 original miles, exhaust system, sound system. Other than that, 99% stock. And I can't wait. I've been driving that damn thing for the past few days. Don't get me wrong, I got my pickup truck outside on the curb, and we still got my mother-in-law's. We still got my mother-in-law's 2003 Metallic P Ford Focus out there on the curb. It's got 65,000 miles on it. Hell, I tell you what, I'm driving the hell out of that thing. I took Hershey and Moolah to the vet the other day in that little thing, and that is a fun car to drive. Front-wheel drive, automatic transmission. Little rascal just does great taking the dogs to the vet. Now, you pull up to a red light, stoplight, somebody looks over and kind of does a double take, and they wouldn't think that if they recognized me that a global icon and a national treasure and a man who stomped mud holes in everybody and walked them dry in the WWF will be driving a 2003 Ford Focus Metallic P. But, yes, I do, and I do so very proudly. God dang, that car gets good gas mileage. I put a tank of gas in that thing, several weeks ago. It ain't even got off full yet. My Bronco's running like a champ. My truck's running fine. I got that truck out there. Now, you know what? I'll tell you what. I took my trailer the other day out to the Broken Skull Challenge compound so I could get it out of my driveway, get it off my curb, stop jacking up all the parking places out there. I left it out there by my storage units where I store all my Kawasaki mules. I got 2 Kawasaki Pro FXTs and a Pro FX, and I got my four-wheeler. God dang it. I took that truck out there, pulling that trailer. That little 5.3, I had somebody send me an email because I told you guys a long time ago when I left the ranch, I was pulling that trailer, and I was complaining about why did they stick with the 350. Someone sent me an email, said the 5.3 made more horsepower, had more torque, did this, did that. Well, I don't know about the damn numbers, but it just doesn't stand to reason to me why a smaller motor, because why would a smaller motor, the 5.3, make more horsepower than the 5.7? If all things are equal, the cam's the same and all that other stuff, and you can run the same compression. Someone send me an email and explain that to me. All things being considered, if you're running same, why is it the 325, whatever it is, the 5.3, making that kind of horsepower over the 350? I mean, put a 396, call it a 400, the 6.2 liter, that damn thing, it doesn't tow worth a damn. If you're going around town without a trailer on the back of it, it's just fine. I got on the computer the other day. I said to Google in a 2003, Silverado Sierra, whatever the hell it is, pickup with a 5.3 cab and a half. What does it tow? I think it said it towed 6,600 to about 8,000 pounds. Well, my trailer can't weigh but about 1,500 pounds, maybe 1,200. It's easy to move. A Kawasaki mule probably weighs, 2,000 pounds. I don't even know. But that ain't very much weight. And I only been pulling the damn trailer empty. Heaven forbid I put that damn thing in there. And the funny thing is, I saw Jeremy McGrath the other day, Supercross legend, 7-time Supercross winner, riding, he's retired now, but he's working with Kawasaki Motorsports on the motocross division. And he invited me to come down there to his ranch and ride. And I told him, hell, Jeremy, I'd love to. So I'm going to put a mule on the back of that damn trailer and put it on the back of that truck. And we're going to see what happens. I might have to build me a pole in the back of that bed and hang a sail from it to get some wind assistance. The 5.3 liter is so damn weak. Anyway, man, I'm flapping my gums. God dang, I'll tell you what. Hey, let me get into this podcast with Mark Bell. We're talking about a ketogenic diet. I got weighed the other day. I clocked in. Well, it was this morning, actually. I clocked in at 258. I think my body fat was about, can't remember what it was. I'll give it to you on the next podcast. It was a little higher than I wanted it to be, but I got a starting point now. Getting my calories dialed in. It's about as light as I've been in 10 years, 12 years. No, that's not that long. When I filmed Expendables, when I met Sly, I was 237. I ain't going to get down that light, but I'd like to hit probably 245, 250 by the time we start rolling cameras for Broken Skull Challenge on July 21st. That's when we will start filming the toughest, baddest show in the United States of America. And if you think that you are bad enough, tough enough, and got enough guts that you want to come out there and compete, go to CNT.com and sign up, jump through the hoops, get interviewed, go get a physical, then come out to the Broken Skull Ranch while we're filming for about, 6-8 weeks, and come out there and open up a can of whoop ass and see how far down the road you can get. Anyway, getting to the podcast here with Mark Bell of Super Training Gym over in Sacramento, California, the strongest gym in the West, Before we get into that podcast, I've got to take a minute here to thank one of the longtime sponsors who also happens to be a close personal friend of mine, Diamond Dallas Page. And y'all know what I'm going to say next. I'm going to tell you to get on the DDP Yoga program. And I ain't telling you that because Dallas is a sponsor. I'm telling you that because it's a damn fine fitness program that will get you on the path to healthy living and keep you there. There ain't no better time than right now to give DDP Yoga a try. You ain't got nothing to lose, especially since Dallas is giving y'all 20% off the DDP Yoga DVDs, the DDP Yoga Now app, and all DDP Yoga-related merch. Hell, hats, T-shirts, heart monitors, mats, and more. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin, and the DDP Yoga Now app gives you everything you need to achieve your health and your fitness goals. DDP's got tons of workouts, nutrition tips and recipes, a way to track your progress, and even offers motivation for those days that you need it the most. Hey, a kick in the ass from DDP himself. The app also lets you access live workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center. And like I said, you get all that for 20% by going to ddpyoga.com/Austin. So get on the DDP Yoga program today and change your life. Hell, I'm changing mine. I even wear a damn heart rate monitor that Dallas gave me back when I was filming in Lake Hartwell, Georgia. Thank you, Dallas. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. Everybody's got a to-do list. Drop off the dry cleaning, pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on your car insurance. Extra money in your pocket? It just may be the most rewarding to do you do today.
Hey, I'm Emmanuel Acho, host of Beyond the Film Room, where we take the muzzle off the mouth of premier athletes. Every Thursday, join me and your favorite sports figures as we tackle the uncharted topic of sport and discuss the far-reaching impact outside of the stadium itself. Download episodes every Thursday at PodcastOne.com, the PodcastOne app, or subscribe at iTunes.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Hell, I'm sitting here at 317 Gimmick Street. Got Mark Bell sitting in front of me. Mark, how are you?
What happened to 316 Gimmick Street?
It's right next door.
Oh.
And people always get mad at me and say, hey, if you're next door in 317, it should be 318, something like that. It should be an even side. But I like the way 318 sounds, and so I like the way 315 sounds. So
you like to blaze your own trail.
316.5 or 316.2, version 2. How are you? What'd you do different? You look different. You look more handsome.
I look more handsome.
What'd you do to your head? This is family friendly, by the way. Was your
I
head shaved last time I saw you and I did your podcast over at your brother Chris's house?
Yeah, my head's usually shaved, yeah.
Did you drop a couple of LBs?
I dropped a lot of LBs, and then the biggest change has been my mustache. I had a huge curly mustache. That's probably what you recognize. Probably what you know. That's probably the biggest change.
You have a big Magnum
giant mustache? Yeah, but with curly on the end.
You did not.
Pushing up my...
I don't remember that. I would remember that. I bet
I looked like
I would remember that.
I looked like the Monopoly guy. No, I lost 50 pounds.
50?
I 51.
Not since I saw you.
200 I was 300 pounds. I got down to 249. Last time I saw you, I probably lost another 10 pounds probably since last time.
So what are you at right now?
249. It's been the lowest I've been. So 249, 250 today, something like 251. I weighed myself this morning. I was 250.
Now, I was on YouTube, and you're somewhat of a YouTube sensation. You've got your supertraining.tv website and all that stuff going. You roll around creating a lot of content. So I was watching one of your things talking about a ketogenic diet and a ketogenic lifestyle, which you've been doing for quite some time.
Yeah.
As I was reading or watching, I've lost it now, but you were not counting any kind of real calories,
right.
And you were fasting. I think you'd been on about a 3-day fast, and you said you kind of liked the way that made you feel, but then obviously, my question is to you, how you fasted for 3 days? Because it's hard for me to imagine you taking in 0 calories for 3 days and you're training with heavy weights. That sounds like BS to me.
Yeah. No.
What are you doing?
No. Yeah, it's not a fast for 3 days.
It's an intermittent fast.
Intermittent fasting. I'll do 10 hours. I'll do 12 hours. I'll do 14. The most I've done is about 16 hours. And so I basically just try to see how many times a week I can handle that. And now I've actually shifted to not really focusing on fasting. I focus on just trying to push all my calories into one time frame. So, for example, yesterday I had breakfast at around 7 o'clock, 7:30, and then I didn't eat again until around 5 p.m. So it wasn't so much that I was like focused on fasting. I was working all day. I was doing a lot of stuff all day. And I find that if I eat, especially before my training, so my training has changed up drastically. I'm doing a lot of conditioning work. And so if I eat even 4 hours before a training session, that stuff's going to come up. I'm going to throw it up just because of how demanding the workouts are. So the fasting is something I got used to. I actually noticed that when I don't eat in the morning and I just fast straight through from the time I went to bed, that it actually is easier for me. So I suggest it to everybody to give it a try. I think you should always take small steps, though, into anything you're going to try. So if you're like, man, fasting sounds crazy to me, then try 10 hours, try 12 hours, try something light and easy the first time you do it.
Yeah, man, but when I'm thinking about trying to get lean, I'm always looking at, okay, just say for a guy, right now I weigh 258, so give or take, my BMR is going to be about 2,300. If I'm going to lay in bed, it should take 2,300 calories for me to just live, breathe, and survive, right? Okay, then on top of that, you throw in walking around everywhere, training for about 45 minutes on weights, and I haven't done any cardio, but let's say I employed 45 minutes of cardio.
Now, you dropped some recently too, right?
Yeah. But I'm a little bit of a sticking point, but that was because I was drinking about 3 shots of whiskey each night. And that's not very much for me. So, but that being said, it does get in the way because it jumps to the front of the line. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, so 2,300 base metabolism, okay, then they think I'm spending a 500, pushing weights, and then maybe another 500 on my cardio. So then in theory, I would need to take in somewhere around
3,000 something.
3,300,
right?
And then coming off that, I'm going to be at a deficit. So are you constantly at a 1,500 calorie deficit? Because it sounds like you're way in a deficit to me.
Yeah, I must be. Because first of all, I'm not a calorie in, calorie out person. I don't believe that that's necessarily true. And the reason I don't believe it's true is because from one person to the next, the calorie is going to vary. The way one person is going to digest sugar is going to be way different than the next. I do believe we do need a measure to talk about. So if calories can be important, I'm not saying that they're not important at all. You're going to have to, at some point, eventually learn to eat less food. And that's exactly what we're talking about with the ketogenic diet. Whenever you're talking about intermittent fasting, you're basically trying to create new habits. You're trying to teach yourself, you know what? I don't actually need food right now. I can get through my workout just fine. It goes against all of the conventional wisdom that you've learned before where, you got to eat every 2 or 3 hours and you got to feed your body and you got to keep the muscle mass. For me, I've felt really good doing what I'm doing. I don't really feel like I've lost muscle mass. I don't count calories. I don't prick my finger to draw blood. I don't measure my ketones in my breath. I don't pee on the keto sticks. I don't even know how important actual ketosis is. I just know that if I don't eat fat, then I won't have any real source of energy. And so I make my body adapt to eating more fat, getting rid of the carbohydrates. Protein, I think, is a little misinterpreted. I don't know how much research there has been on people that lift and people that exercise really hard, but I don't really pay attention to that either. My main thing is get rid of the carbs because it gets rid of bad habits for me. And the other thing is to just try to eat a lot of fat.
Yeah, but when I first started talking to you about this, it was kind of a mind game to me because the protein was so low. And like you haven't lost any muscle mass, I think I have lost some muscle mass. Now, I was deathly sick for about 2 weeks and just getting back into my workouts, but I thought on top of that, I actually lost a little bit of muscle mass. So then guess to me how many grams of protein you're getting in each day.
I would say I have like at least 2 or 3 forms of meat every single day. So I'd say I'm not like engorging on massive amounts, but I would say it's got to be at least 200. But it's probably not over that.
I thought you were going to say something stupid like $1.30, and then I was going to crawl across the table and go to fighting.
Yeah. Well, then I also have...
You do have to get some protein to maintain what you're bringing.
Yeah, and then I also have a protein shake, So I try to mix in some sort of protein at each meal. I have eggs in the morning, or if I don't eat anything in the morning, then I have steak later in the day, pork, chicken,
What about bacon?
Bacon.
People say fat's fat. Other people say, hey, man, you shouldn't be eating that kind of stuff.
I think,
limits, off limits.
I get uncured bacon usually. I think the healthier the better, so if you can find a healthier choice, if you can get something that, and healthy I use in quotes because who the heck knows what healthy even means anymore because it's been
tell me on a ketogenic
redefined.
Diet, fat's fat.
Right. Yeah, I know. Some people will say there's healthy fat versus an unhealthy fat and this and that. I do know that there's been some research that shows that certain types of fats, MCT oils in particular, C8, turns into ketones easier, but again, I don't know how important it all is. I do know that conventional wisdom kind of tells you, hey, eat some vegetables. So I try to eat 2 servings of vegetables every single day, spinach,
but you're still
broccoli.
Trying to keep your net carbs below 30, right?
So I don't worry about it in those terms. If I'm going to go over my carb count through vegetables, then and if I'm going to be worried about that, then my life is too miserable to even function anyway.
So then, how many carbs do you figure eating each day?
Lately, I've actually reintroduced carbohydrates because as you get your body leaner, you can bring carbs back in. And I believe that when you're fat adapted, which I believe I am, where my body is utilizing the fats for energy, I believe that you can introduce some carbohydrates, especially if you think about the goal of a ketogenic diet is to make yourself leaner. If you improved your body fat percentage, then it would make sense that you could at some point shift to having some more energy or introducing some more energy as in calories, and you can take those calories in different forms. And I also think that some carbohydrates aren't going to bounce you out of ketosis. If I'm going to have carbs, because the one thing I hate about a ketogenic diet is
standard ketogenic, right?
Yeah.
Versus cyclic.
Yeah. Like around 70% fat. Like I said, I don't really measure too much of it, but I just look at some of the numbers of some of the foods I eat, and I try to make sure that they're high fat. I just feel like introducing some carbs makes some sense as you get your body leaner. Carbohydrates are really effective, and they can be used as a tool. I usually just have them before a training session, so I might have I had cereal a couple days ago before a training session. Now, when I'm talking about having cereal, I'm not having a giant bowl of cereal. I'm having like a serving, maybe 2 servings of cereal. We're talking about 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates. I can't drink milk, so I just mix in a hydrolyzed whey protein in there, and I eat that. Or sometimes post-workout, I'll have a couple of rice cakes. My gym gets really hot, so I downed a Gatorade one day because I was in that zone where I wasn't sure if I was going to hit the ground or not. So I had a Gatorade and some rice cakes. So I'm filling in some gaps. I always hate that period when you're on a ketogenic diet of trying to figure out what the hell do I eat before I go do my training session, because if I eat bacon and avocado and eggs, my stomach's going to be full for 4 hours. That's what fat does. Fat sits in your stomach for a long period of time. It takes a while to digest it. So it's kind of nice to have shifted to a little bit of carbohydrates.
So what about the post-workout meal? Because, man, now, after reading what I've read, now I've just dropped out the fats on the post-workout meal and went straight to protein.
Right.
You, what?
So post-workout, I usually just wait till I get home and get something, or I've been doing a couple things. I have branched-chain amino acids at my gym. I'll take them actually during the workout. Another thing that I'll do is I actually use endogenous ketones, which is just a supplement, a ketone supplement, and I'll take that a lot of times during the workout. So I don't really bank too much on the post-workout thing, although I probably should at this point. I think as I get leaner, it would only make more and more sense because, again, we're trying to figure out a way to not only preserve muscle mass but also to gain some. But I do think I am going to be 41 this year, and I think you get to a certain age with your life and your training age period, how much more muscle mass am I really going to get, So it's going to be difficult, but it's going to be also important, not much more important, to hold on to the muscle mass.
Yeah, but being at a caloric deficit, I mean, you're certainly not going to put on any muscle.
Yeah, no, it's going to be too hard, probably.
All right, question, and you ain't counting nothing, but how many grams of fat do you guess you're getting?
It'd just be really hard to say. I mean, if I threw out a number, it's got to be probably in the neighborhood of 200 to 300. It's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay, so what are your fat sources?
MCT oil, almonds, cashews, avocados, eggs, any sort of red meat of any kind. I try to stay away from stuff that's like got a lot of preservatives and stuff like that. I just.
What about cheese?
Cheese, I love cheese.
How many tablespoons of MCT are you knocking down? That's something that you would know.
Yeah, the MCT oil, I would say I probably have about 30 to 40 grams of it a day. So 34 grams of fat are coming from the MCT oil.
That's it? That's 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, it's not much. It's not much. Two, maybe 3. Yeah, not a ton.
I'd like to hang out and eat with you for a day because none of your stuff adds up.
I know.
You're throwing out about 1,800 calories.
No, I think what happens is I think that's probably true. There's probably some days where it's 1,500 calories. Probably some days where it's like 3,500. But if you do hang out with me for a day, you're going to recognize a couple things. You're going to recognize that Super Training Gym is the best damn gym in the world. You're going to recognize that the slingshot is the best damn invention in the world. You're going to realize I have an amazing wife who really, 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 really loves wine. And you're going to realize that she's a great cook and a great mom, and I got great kids. You're going to realize all that, and you're also going to realize that I slam a lot of my meals in towards the end of the day. So when I get home from a training session, depending on how hard that training session was, if it was really brutal, I'll have about 3 meals from 6 until about 10 sometimes, all the way to the point where I put my kids to bed and I kiss my daughter goodnight, and I say, I'm going back downstairs, I got to eat again. She's like, why do you, she doesn't get it. She's like, why do you got to eat again? I'm like, I got to figure out a way to recover from all these workouts, so sometimes I'll slam in a bunch of meals at the end of the day.
Yeah, but see, man, for me, I'm one of those guys who's got to measure everything, weigh everything, because I need to know a number of what I'm putting in my body just to make sure.
So I do weigh something.
Okay.
I weigh my body. I just weigh myself each day, and so the goal has been to drop weight. The goal has also been this is a long-term thing. This is like a lifestyle that I'm shifting into. I don't know if I'll be on this particular diet forever, but I want to stay leaner as I get older. And so I made a commitment to myself, like, okay, let's drop weight, right? I already dropped a bunch from the 300 mark and got to 280 and 270 and 260 and now in the 250 range. And for me, the goal right now is I don't care if it takes me another 3 months to get down another 5 pounds. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it takes the whole year to get down another 5 pounds. I'm pretty comfortable with where I've gotten to, and so if I can kind of stay here, maybe get leaner through training, and maybe my caloric intake isn't necessarily in much of a deficit anymore. Maybe it's a surplus of it a little bit, or maybe it's just right on the dot of what I need. I'm okay with all that. I'm okay if it takes some time. So people that are dieting and people that are getting frustrated with where their diet is going, or they're frustrated with they can't drop weight, you got to hang in there for a little bit, because you're going to go in spurts. And what I found in a ketogenic diet especially especially with the summer coming and with the water shift, I mean, holy crap, your water weight can shift drastically. But what I really noticed is that you'll drop 5, and then you're not sure where you're at, and you weigh yourself again, and you gain 3, and you're like, shit, what is happening? And you go back and forth, you weigh yourself, and for me, just recently, I was down about 4 or 5 pounds, and I think a lot of it has to do with water, because I actually started taking more water. I talked to my boy Stan, the Rhino Efforting, who you need to have on this podcast again, and he told me, he's like, dude, you need a lot more salt. You need a lot more salt. So I put a little bit of salt on my food, a little bit of salt in my water throughout the day. I'm not using tons of it, just throughout the day. And that, along with extra water, has helped me. There's actually even research that shows that it can help you lose body fat, which sounds insane, but the research is there for that. So I recommend that you try to keep on your water, and then also just stick with it. Stick to it. A lot of the things that are happening in your body from your diet are positive. Just because you haven't really lost weight on the scale, you got to stick to it, and you'll start losing some weight again.
What are you doing as far as cardio? Because you don't seem like a steady state guy.
Yeah, I don't like doing that. I don't like getting on an elliptical and spending a half an hour, although that can be a really effective way of losing weight. I think both styles of cardio are really effective for myself. I do very simple things. Any opportunity I have to walk or stand, I try to do so with dumbbells. So, for example, I do something I call my gun walk, which is just doing curls and going for a walk. And I walk 100 feet or so while I'm doing curls. I'll come back, grab some different dumbbells, do a one-arm overhead press, and walk for 100 feet. I'll do a one-arm farmer's walk. Just carry weight in one hand, which is I don't know why it's so hard, but a farmer's carry, only carrying one thing is way harder than carrying two because you're just off balance the whole time. So I'll do that. I mean, I do a lot of stuff like that where there's really no rest. I do it with a lot of the guys at Super Training Gym and girls, and we do it just as a big group, and there's really not much rest. Your rest and recovery really is usually active, so it's usually like a form of walking, or the other option is to just slow down and let some of the other people pass you. And like some of the people in the class, they're really fit, and they'll go smoking right past me on some stuff.
So how often you hitting a body part a week? Are you hitting full body workouts?
So that's been crazy. That has been really weird lately. I worked out twice today, just by accident. I worked out twice yesterday, and that was kind of by accident as well. Some of it has to do with the filming that we've been doing. I was just at Bradley Martin's new gym. He's got a really cool spot in Woodland Hills. Is that where it was at? Yeah. He's got a really great gym there, and I worked out waiting for him, and then he was like an hour late. So then he came in, and then we kind of worked out again, and then something similar happened the other day. But as far as body parts go, I've done two things. I've eliminated my attachment to weights completely, all the way to the point where I'm totally fine with deadlifting 135 pounds, which sounds insane to say that now, and bench press 135 and squat it. I have no problem with doing it, and it's part of like a circuit or something like that, and I'll do sets of 15, 20 reps. So I lost all attachment to that. I've also lost all attachment.
The ego.
I had to.
Okay.
I really had to. The other thing I did is I tried to lose all attachment to worrying about like recovery. Now I'm going to have to start to worry about recovery, and that's something I'm going to implement. But I just wanted to be on this streak of lifting every single day. And so I think we're on day like 28. I've been lifting every single day because I don't want to do the cardio. So that's part of it. But I did chest and back yesterday. I did more chest and back today. So it's even though each workout's not real crazy, it's spread out over more of a period of time rather than 15 sets of back and chest in one day, or 15 sets of chest in one day, and then you wait 5 days or 7 days and then hit it again. I'm doing more like 3 or 4 sets of chest, 3 or 4 sets of back, 3 or 4 sets of biceps, and I might hit it 2-3 days in a row. So it's been really, really wild, been different.
So then how long will a workout take you?
We had a real doozy of a workout on Monday. So you see me on social media. I'm trying to always market, and you even left me a very, I got to say, very negative voicemail. I took quite exception to that voicemail that he left me.
Well, what was wrong with the voicemail I left you?
It was, I'd rather not say. I'd rather not repeat what it was, but it was very rude.
Well, on your voicemail, you say you invented a slingshot, you invented a question mark, and I was like, God dang, I just called to talk to you. I didn't have to hear a voicemail. You bragging about all your accomplishments.
I'd rather not repeat. There's a lot of profound language on there.
What if you call me and it says, hey, man, you reached the voicemail of Stone Cold Steve Austin, former 6-time WWE heavyweight champion. I don't know how many times I was Intercontinental champion, how many times tag team champion, going back to television champion, WCW, and just listed all the championships and accomplishments that I had in my life. You'd be listening for a pretty good while before you could drop your message. So, I didn't know if you'd left out any accolades that you wanted to plug on the podcast. I'm messing with you. I got a packet of Splenda right there.
Oh, there we go.
Talk to me about Splenda on a ketogenic diet. Is that a no-no, or is that okay if I stay under 3 of them a day?
You know what? I would say when it comes to things like this, again, like you mentioned going over your carb count, like via like vegetables and stuff. I think if you have to really worry too much about this kind of thing, I think it's the micro of what's happening, and you need to be more focused on kind of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, am I losing weight? And those people that don't get their blood work, I really recommend that you get your blood work, especially anybody who ever uses any sort of performance enhancement. It's not that hard. Just get your blood work done. So I think that something like this, artificial sweeteners, I don't think it's the fight. The fight for me is against carbohydrates, and the reason is carbohydrates are not bad, but they elicit a response in me that's bad. It makes me want to eat more of them, and I don't have great control when it comes to that, so I just have to abstain. I went to Carbaholics, basically, Carbs Anonymous.
So then there's a reason
had to clean myself out.
For you, just because you can't control the carbs, you're not worried about using the carbs as a fuel source. You just love to eat them, so you'll eat too much.
That's 100% correct. Yeah, I love bread, pizza, candy, ice cream.
And that's the only reason you dig the ketogenic diet. It makes it easier for you because
it's the only diet. It's definitely, without question, the only diet I can follow and at least manage the calories a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to be all over the place.
So then if it wasn't for your love of carbs or the breads or whatever, then you'd be fine just, hey, man, give or take, I probably need 3,500 to maintain this. Right,
and I've done bodybuilding style diets and had great results before, but it was just so hard for me to follow it. I remember at first, just choking down food because the food amount was so much, and then the food got more and more restricted, and then I was insanely hungry. Where now I have kind of starved off my hunger by just simply not eating. Like in the car just now, we had some beef jerky and some almonds. For breakfast, I had maybe at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I haven't eaten much today. I feel good. I can think clearly. I feel good physically. I feel like I can go work out again. Hopefully we'll grab some lunch after this. But I feel like if I had to, I could go work out again. And so when you try something like intermittent fasting, at first it's a shock, but after a while you will kind of starve off that hormone that your body releases to make you hungry. And I think, again, going back to the carbs were something that would definitely make me hungry, the shifts up and down of the blood sugar and so on.
Talk to me about a video you posted, I guess it was give or take about April 19, 2017. It was about a 35-minute video. You're talking about the keto diet, but then you're talking about getting your blood work done, and you said to your followers about how you can take things to the extreme, and you need to maintain your health. You're quite adamant and passionate in that statement. So tell me about your blood work that you got back. What was wrong? What happened?
For the first time in my life, my blood work went really haywire. I think just from being young and maybe some decent genetics, my blood always held on, and I always, even with taking extreme amounts of performance-enhancing drugs and with being upwards of 330 pounds, squatting over 1,000 pounds, benching over 800, and so on, doing stuff way to the extreme, I was always fairly healthy. I'd get my blood pressure checked, and somehow it was always okay. But after a while, I think what happened, the biggest thing that happened was I wasn't sleeping, and that added up over the years. And I literally didn't sleep very well for 5 or 6 years, and even my thought process and stuff at that time, it was just a lot harder to think. I just wasn't as clear. I kind of always felt tired, and so by dropping the weight, it has really shifted me in a much stronger direction to where when I go to bed, I fall asleep. So that has helped a lot. But my blood, my A1C, which I'm not going to get too technical here because A, I can't. I don't really know a ton about it. And B, I just really never talk that way because I don't think it's that important to get too crazy technical. But the A1C has to do with your ability to basically take on carbohydrates. And so for me, that was way off. I was basically pre-diabetic, and I had to shift that around. Ketogenic style diet is perfect for that because you're not eating any carbohydrates. You don't have to worry about your insulin resistance as much. And so I turned that around quite a bit, got my blood pressure to drop without taking anything to make it drop. I also, just to be totally transparent, started taking a lot less stuff. Over the last about 2 years, I'm on a dosage that would represent my blood work, my testosterone levels were still in a normal range. They weren't in some sort of crazy. I've had them way up there. I can show you some of them. They're pretty good. They're like almost world records probably for the amount of testosterone that's running through my body. But yeah, in general, I made everything healthier. I still have a little ways to go. Cholesterol and some things were still a little out of whack. Huge changes in the liver profile. There were some really good changes throughout.
But better changes.
Better changes, yeah, for sure. All of them.
So back in the day when you was lifting heavy and you was weighing over 300, I mean, like, how many grams?
Like of testosterone and stuff like that? I would do like a shot every probably 2-3 days. And every 2 or 3 days I would do what I call double barrel, which would be I'd load up the syringe, 3 cc's of each of them, and go bam, bam, left shoulder, right shoulder, every 2-3 days, just as much as I can handle it, you know, in terms of like scar tissue and stuff. The shots hurt pretty bad. Yeah, and I did that for as long as I could, like running into a contest, you know, 12 weeks or so. Contest would be over, and I would maybe do about a shot a week, you know. I'd taper way back down. But I competed, so, you know, I was always competing.
Right.
So the thing is, you know, you have a way of justifying a lot of crap to yourself, basically. You can justify anything to yourself, drinking, overeating, cheating, however you want to say it, right? You can justify anything to yourself, basically. And so I was justifying to myself. I was like, oh, I'm competing. I'm doing another meet. And this is just the way it goes. This is what other guys are doing. You know, in the wrestling business, you see a lot of stuff going on, too. And you're kind of like, yeah, you know, like, guys are in pain. Maybe they just take something for that. I want to get stronger. I'm taking something for that, and so is everybody else. So I'm just going to take a lot, and we're just going to ride with this. And then you realize, like, man, that is just really dumb, you know, especially after I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't, you know, because things had to lay out the way they had to lay out. It's just the way it is. And you can't really learn. If someone else can't come and tell you, you have to go through it yourself to really learn. But, yeah, I was taking a lot. In terms of, like, dosage, I would say, you know, 600, so it'd be 1,200 per shot. And we're talking about, you know, 3 grams a week of just testosterone. That's not even counting whatever the hell else I took.
How did you feel? Like your head was going to blow off?
I felt insanely strong.
Yeah.
I felt really powerful, and like my body, even though I looked like big and bloated, it was really like solid. You know, it was like hitting a piece of steel. You know, because that's just the way you feel. And I remember my dad's pastor of his church. He's like, he goes, "Your son looks like he's going to explode." and that's not a good thing. He kind of meant it as a compliment, like explode with strength, I think he meant. But I just looked like I was just, like my head was going to pop off my shoulders.
Everybody for years has always talked about roid rage. Taking those amounts, I know you're way dialed down now, normal stuff. But in those heavy powerlifting days, is roid rage real, or is that an extension of someone's personality and then the juice just dials it up? Because I've seen a lot of guys on a lot of stuff, and I've never seen, you know, some of them did have some issues, but that was kind of who they were. If they got drunk, that's kind of who they were. What would your experience with a roid rage be?
My gym has had a huge evolution, huge change. Years ago, the entire gym was on the whole program, from the type of lifting that we did to recreational stuff outside the gym. And that gym was a lot harder to deal with physically, emotionally. There's all kinds of just crap going on all the time. And guys were, one guy would upset another guy, and people getting pissed at each other, people wanting to fight each other, a lot of hurt feelings. Now, there's a lot less of that in the gym. There's a lot less usage, and there's a lot less just drama in the gym in general. And so I do think that things go hand in hand. I do think that steroids can definitely mess with your brain. I don't think there's any question about that. I think anyone that would argue against that, I think, would be just a little bit naive. Like, I think that there's no question that any of the hormones in our body can possibly affect, maybe not any of them, but most of them can probably affect our brain. So I think, from my own experience, I can't recall a time where I really lashed out or snapped because of them, but I've definitely noticed mood swings, and not so much from being on them, but from having a drastic change from being on them to coming off of them is what I noticed the most. And actually, when I came off them years ago to have my daughter Quinn, I was like weepy and depressed, and it was kind of crazy. It was only for a short period of time, but I have never in my life ever felt that way. I've never felt depressed or never felt sorry for myself or anything like that. But there's a short span, and I was like, oh, my God, it's because I'm coming off of everything, and I'm having this cascade of the testosterone starting to drop, the estrogen starting to go the other way. And so if a pretty song came on there, I was picking some flowers and crying.
When you go get your blood work done, are you working with an endocrinologist or just an MD, personal physician, or a TRT person?
Yeah, so just somebody to draw the blood. And then I go to Stan Efferding. Charles Poliquin is also a reference that I use. Stan has been amazing with that kind of stuff. As you know, he's as sharp as they come. He gives me a lot of advice on it. You know, his new thing now is to try to walk after every meal that you have. And I really have tried to implement that wherever I can. Simple things like I'll park further away from wherever I'm going to go eat. And so I figured, hey, it's 5 minutes, 5-minute walk there, 5-minute walk back. I just got 10 minutes of walking that I otherwise may not have gotten. So things like that I think are important. I think they really add up.
But last question about just steroids. And let's come back after our commercial break for the sponsors to keep the show on the air for free. Twice a week, 2 cans of audio whoop-ass. We'll talk about pro wrestling with you because I remember your brother Mike in the ring. But I had forgotten, and we had talked about this, that you wrestled as well, and I've been hitting up with so many steel chairs. I got on YouTube and I watched a couple of your matches. So last question. If you had been, like a TRT guy, or MD, or endocrinologist, if they'd have drawn your blood and looked at your numbers or what you were on, I mean, they would have done a flip. And like you said, when you say about Charles Poliquin, you say Stan Efferding, those two guys who, with vast experience with, performance-enhancing drugs and being in the scene. So why not go to a regular doctor?
Well, because
they don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they know. I personally don't have a good relationship with. I don't have any luck with doctors in general. I have this thing going on with my elbow. I've had it checked out by 2 different people. I've gone to this doctor's appointment for MRI. They've scanned it every which way you can possibly think of. They even compared it to the other elbow. They don't know what's wrong. I haven't made it anywhere with that. So I just don't have a lot of faith in doctors in general. Not to say that there's not some great. I'm sure there's some great ones that I could meet that would probably be great with some of that stuff. But I do think that a bodybuilder or somebody just with more experience, period, is probably going to know more than a doctor, because what I've found when my dad was in the hospital for 70 days with some sort of craziness going on with his intestines, he nearly died twice. And while he was there, the doctor who's working on his intestines knew nothing about nutrition. He was not even required to take one nutrition class. So that kind of led me to kind of think, like, you know what, not that doctors are bad, it's just that they're going to be focused in on one thing. And for Stan and Charles Poliquin and stuff, those guys have the freedom to focus in on a lot of other things. So
more performance than what? Hey man, it's like if you get a normal for someone who gets just regular blood work done, everything is in a range, and all of a sudden, boy, you should be dealing with the numbers that you're dealing with. It's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
Anyway, I appreciate your candidness about this. Let's take a break and come right back with Mark Bell. We're talking pro wrestling. Hey, if you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar. TrueCar gives you the price and information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register with TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local area paid for the car you want. And from there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered to you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. And you'll also see all the dealer incentives before you get to the lot, so you can feel confident about the price when you show up. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or a used vehicle. And the stats don't lie. Over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 dealers in that network with some 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available. So do yourself a favor and go to TrueCar for your next car buying experience. TrueCar doesn't just make the process easier, it'll also save you some money. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. The biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds and props for Super Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. We have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, and exclusive in-game live betting. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and MMA, BetOnline provides you with all the action. Visit the website today and make game day action count a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Hey guys, this is Chael Sonnen, and make sure you check out my podcast, You're Welcome. We talk about MMA, we talk about professional wrestling, politics, anything you need to know about today's top issues so that you can sound intelligent, and you get them all from me, your humble host, America's favorite gangster. Make sure you check me out. You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen. New episodes every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at PodcastOne app, Apple Podcasts, and of course, PodcastOne.com.
All right, I'm sitting here with Mark Bell over at 317 Gimmick Street and got a couple beach towels on the table. How do you like this redneck setup I got up here? Try and get a little sound control. I got a furniture blanket on the floor. You, Chris, your camera guys over here sitting in my camp chairs. I ain't got a stitch of furniture in here. What do you think about this place? This is like the ultimate man cave.
It's so fancy over here that you won't even allow us to film. You won't allow cameras in here because
like it's a piece of trash over here. I got some cool things going on. You come back in about a month or two when I get this thing finished. I got a 1930s industrial clock over there.
That thing's insane looking. It's huge.
It's cool. Well, I just had my welder over at Space Tech build me that stand. It used to hang in the pavilion at the Broken Skull Ranch.
Where's Space Tech? What's that?
That's just a guy right there on Lincoln Boulevard that welds.
Oh, okay.
My contractor that just remodeled our house turned me on to him, so he built that stand for me because normally that clock would hang in a factory. You can see those two eyes.
Yeah.
And so it hangs in a factory, so workers driving forklifts or whatever could see what time it was as they're going down the dock. And I've had that thing forever. My Pearl Beer Neon clock over there. Some of the other things I'll hang up in here, and then I'll turn it into a proper studio. I'm not going all fancy and high tech.
Got to keep it working, man.
It's going to be a working, man. But now that I have a space over here to work without the dogs interfering and all that stuff, I'm looking forward to it. And I've collected all this stuff for the past 15, 20, 25 years, and to be able to hang it and look at it, in place for me to enjoy myself. Hey, man, let's talk about pro wrestling. I did that back in the day. So did you, and I had forgot that you did. So did Mike get in before you? Because you're the baby of the family, right?
I'm the baby, yeah.
So how much older was Mike than you?
Mike was about 6, 7 years older, right?
And Chris, you're the oldest or middle? Middle. Okay, you're the middle, and you're the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike got in at what age?
He was 23. There you go.
Okay, so then what spurred you to get in? Did you follow after your
I got into it when I was probably about 21. So he was already in the business for 5-6 years probably. I actually got interested in wrestling, and I think at that time, he was in jail. I was living in Los Angeles, and my brother Mike was living in New York, and he ran into some trouble here and there. I actually remember having a conversation with him while he was in jail. I have no idea what he was in jail for. I don't remember. But he would go in and out here and there for various reasons. And so I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, man, I'm started wrestling and this and that. And he was like, oh, cool. He was talking about wanting to move to California and wanting to come out. And he's like, we got to form a tag team, So we were talking about some of that. But, yeah, I was training at Gold's Gym here in Venice, the mecca of bodybuilding. And I was wearing a shirt that said Austin 316. Had the sleeves cut off it. I was feeling jacked for the day. Probably about 220 pounds or so at the time. Fairly lean. And a guy came up to me, old wrestler. His name's John Holiday. He wrestled kind of all over the place. Never made it to that next level. But he did well for himself. And he was like, hey, you ever think about pro wrestling? And I was like, I love pro wrestling. I've been a huge fan for years. I'm watching it now all the time because at that time, that was the height of your career, and that was The Rock coming in, and that whole transition was going on, all the craziness of the WCW and the WWE going back and forth. It was nuts. And so I was like, yes, I'll give it a try. And he said some outrageous price. I don't know what the deal was with the prices of, how they coach you in pro wrestling, but it was always insane. It was like $3,000 or something. And I was like, well, I don't really have any money, but I said,
nobody does when they get into business.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know where the hell I'm going to get $3,000 from. And he was like, well, he goes, to be honest, I just need body. So I'm just going to put you through a workout.
But I'm going to see if I can get $3,000 out of you first.
Yeah. That was the work the whole time. And I'm sure he got $3,000 out of a couple of those people, So I went to Malibu, California, and I had no idea where I was driving to or where I was going. And I go around this corner, and there's just like this kind of this open area. It doesn't look like there's a gym there or anything. I don't know what the hell's going on. And I kind of look, and I see, under some shade, under some trees, there's just a ring sitting there. It's outside. And I'm like, all right, I guess this is the wrestling camp he's been talking about. They're just trying to sell me on for $3,000, It's literally just a parking lot. And so he said, you're going to do 1,000 squats, 1,000 step-ups. I felt like Bob Backlund.
One of those guys.
Yeah, 1,000 squats, 1,000 step-ups. And he had me run back and forth. The funny thing about the running back and forth was it was like this really short distance, but I had to do it like 1,000 times with everything else. I mean, I lost count of the numbers. I don't even know if I really achieved it, but I went through long enough for him to, kind of give me the nod, But when every time I ran, because I was doing the 1,000 step-ups and 1,000 squats, so it was like knocking them out like 10 at a time or something ridiculous, right? So I'd do the step-ups, I'd do the squat, and then I'd go to do the run, and midway through I couldn't run anymore. I looked like an old grandma trying to run down the street or something, and my legs were just shot. And I remember right around that time is the time I met my wife, who is amazing for staying with me through all that weird stuff. And in her apartment, her bedroom was upstairs. And I remember I just slept at the bottom of the stairs, because I'm like, there's no freaking way that I can get up those stairs right now. My legs are shot. And I was sore for 5-6 days. But that was kind of the start of everything.
So then what was the actual wrestling training? I mean, because, going back to my days in Chris Adams, we learned how to hit the ropes. Well, with flat back bumps, rolling, tumbling drills, and then just a little bit of chain wrestling here and there. But what was the basics there? Because, this would sound like one of those conditioning guys who's trying to weed you out.
Yeah.
He's looking for bodies, but he's trying to weed you out.
Right.
So how adaptive were you towards just, the mechanisms, the mechanics of the business?
Yeah, once we started, he's showing me how to roll, how to take like a hip toss. He's showing me just the general bumps and stuff like that. He's showing me chain wrestling and all that different stuff. And there was another guy there. I can't quite remember all the different names of each guy. It was like Big Ugly or something. You remember the guy? What was his name?
Which guy?
At John Holliday's place, Big Ugly or something like that, or Big something. I can't remember. Anyway, I worked with this one guy in particular a ton, and he was like 6'5", so it wasn't always great working with him. He's kind of a bodybuilder type, and he was real stiff in the ring and stuff. But yeah, that's where I learned a lot of stuff, and just a lot of basic stuff.
Well, I'm sitting there on YouTube. I'm watching Joey Ryan versus Mark Bell and Mad Dog Mike Bell from Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Bigger, Stronger, Faster on New Japan Pro Wrestling USA in 2004.
Oh, there you go.
You talk about a barn burner of a match. You look pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
You look pretty good. You're rushing
pretty
a little
good
bit.
From Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's
in
good.
2004. So how many years in the business would you have had under your belt?
I did about 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was kind of a promise I made to myself when I got into wrestling. I was like, I'm going to give this like 5 years. I'm going to kind of see where this goes. And I did a bunch of fun stuff. I ended up doing the thing with you in the grocery store. You didn't know it was me, but that was me with Booker T. Everybody remembers that scene. That's an all-time favorite of everybody's. And then also ended up doing some commercial stuff with WWE for like No Way Out, or one they did this promo where Kane was playing baseball. He was at bat, and he hit an in the park home run. Well, I was on second base, and I think Matt Hardy was on top of a ladder at second base, and he jumped off the ladder and and killed me through a table. Now, I never went through a table before, so I didn't know there's like a science to it. And
there is.
there is. I know there's science to everything, right? So Matt Hardy's like, hey, kid, I only want to do this once. Like, make sure one take. So you know what he's setting me up for, probably. And
it's like what they call the green guy kid.
I know.
Go
It's
ahead.
funny.
What happened?
So I lay across this table. The table's probably 6 feet long, so I'm about 6 feet tall. So I lay across it, and I'm, perfectly on the table. And he's like, move down a little bit. So I scoot down a little bit. He's like, scoot down a little bit more. And so he asked me to scoot down a couple times. So finally I scoot down. Now my legs are kind of hanging off the table, and my head is dead center in the middle of the table. I'm not really good with math, and now the table is going to actually split completely in half, which is going to make my head drive right through the baseball diamond here. So he goes and he jumps, and I just remember seeing his leg come down. I don't remember anything else. My eggs were scrambled really bad, and I'm getting up, and the room is spinning, and I see a bunch of wrestlers. Hey, man, you okay? You okay? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right, because I don't want to,
Got to play the part of the tough guy.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm good. I was like, I think his boot hit me or something. I made something up, and then I went and in the dugout and actually threw up, and was pretty screwed up from that. But I had a lot of fun with a lot of that stuff. I ended up meeting a lot of great people. Ended up meeting a lot of people that I still communicate with today. A lot of the guys in the locker room. John Hennigan was one of them. Obviously Cena, stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. And just a side note on John Hennigan, who wrestled under the name John Morrison, I think, for a while. When I was getting the slingshot started, I made the product, made the invention. I tore my pec several times. I wanted to create a product that allowed me to still train and still do the things I love to do. Allowed me to train through. I tore my pec a few times, and it allowed me to train through and around injuries, and it ended up being a good support system to allow me to still compete. And so I had this idea, and I was talking to John Hennigan about it. John, he likes to film movies and direct and edit and do all these things. And I used to watch a lot of his videos with him when I was in Louisville. I ended up going to Louisville, Kentucky, and doing some wrestling down there as well. And so I would watch some of his stuff, and everybody else would say, "Oh, John, your shit's horrible." But I actually had fun watching it with him because I knew why he was doing it. He's passionate about it. He loved it. And for him, it was just a lot of fun. And so I always was excited to watch some of his stuff. Well, so fast forward a couple of years, I got the slingshot invention. I'm out of the wrestling business. I wanted to order like 6,000 slingshots because they kind of sold me a bill of goods that it's cheaper if I order more. And for some reason, I thought it was a good idea. Looking back, wasn't a great idea. Didn't need to have it be cheaper or whatever. It doesn't make any sense anyway. So I was on the hook for quite a bit of money for these goods, right? I had some support from my parents. I had some money of my own. And then I had another person who was going to invest some money. They had a deal fall through. It was supposed to be a real estate deal. And they said, hey, you know what? I can't help you with that. I had already had one payment go to my manufacturer. Well, they needed the second payment to actually ship it. I had a misunderstanding with them. I thought that when I sent them half the money, they would send me half the goods, and we'd kind of go from there, and we'd start a relationship that way. They were like, nope, it's half the money, and then it's half the money to get the project started, and then it's half the money to actually ship it. And so I was like, oh, my God. So I'm trying to think of my friends like that have money, that are in good position, and all my friends are basically losers. Nobody has a real job. Nobody has much. So I'm trying to just kicking around some names, and it's kind of inappropriate for me to ask a couple of my friends because I'm pretty close to them and stuff too. So I just didn't feel right about asking some people. So then I was like, well, I'm like, John's doing, John Morrison's doing really good. And, he and I always hung out and stuff like that. I was like, he's going to understand my dream because he has a dream to like one day be a director and be an actor and these things. And so he's just as outlandish as I am with my idea. So I call him up and I'm like, John, I was like, I'm in a tight spot. I have this invention I remember talking to you about. I told you about the slingshot a couple years ago. I said, well, now I actually invented it. And I said, I'm going to put in an order. I put in an order to get some. I said, but I said, I don't know what other way to put it to you. I need some money to, get the stuff here. And he's like, well, how much do you need? And I said, oh man, I kind of need a lot. And then the next thing he said was, well, just tell me how much. And so I said, I need $25,000. And he said, it'll be at your doorstep tomorrow morning. And it was. He sent me $25,000 just overnight. I was able to order the slingshots, and the rest with the slingshot is history. Then you fast forward a few more years. He's out of the wrestling business. He's wrestling in Mexico, and he's doing some other things. Things aren't going as good as they were when he was in WWE, because there's nothing quite like wrestling for the WWE. Wrestling in Mexico is probably way different, I'd imagine. And so not only was he able to pay him back, he was able to pay him back and then some, and that felt really good.
Man, that's a cool story, because John Hennigan, a.k.a. Johnny Mundo, was just at the house about a few weeks ago, and we were talking about his new movie, Boone the Bounty Hunter, and you can check it out on iTunes, and I suggest you do. And it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. John's terrific. The movie's got a great storyline, so a plug for the movie again. I always enjoy talking to that guy. He's just a super friendly guy.
Yeah, he's super creative.
Talking about your days in the squared circle, it sounded like you took a very intelligent approach that a lot of guys don't do with respect to what they expect out of the business, and you were going to give it 5 years. So what was your approach? Hey, man, if I ain't nowhere in 5 years, then it's time to go do something else because it ain't happening.
That was definitely the approach. And, as I got closer to the fire, as I got closer to like WWE, I started to realize, which I for some reason didn't know ahead of time, maybe just because I blindly liked wrestling a lot. And also, for the record, I didn't love wrestling. My oldest brother loved wrestling. He lived for it. So that's a totally different thing. I love powerlifting. And so I didn't recognize a lot of these things when I was in it. I liked it. I liked watching you. I liked watching The Rock. And I was into it, but it wasn't like a love. It wasn't like a passion. I didn't pour everything I had into it the way I do with my lifting. And so as I was kind of going through the process, and as I got kind of closer to the flame, it was too hot for me. I was like, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. I'm busting my butt, and I'm killing myself doing this stuff, and I'm just kind of spinning my wheels, So when I was in Louisville, I told them, I was like, I just had a son. He's, 4 months old or whatever he was, and I'm really just kind of thinking about, moving on. They're like, oh, it's too bad. We had these ideas for you, and it was cool that they said some of that, going out the door. But I was like, nah, I started to realize that even if I did make it, I'm like, where does that lead me? Because then you're not really making it. You're actually just getting started. So if I start touring with WWE, which would have been awesome, that would have been a great opportunity. Where does that put me? Now I'm just getting started. I got to fight my way through the crowd in the locker room and figure out a new way to become top dog in that circle. And I just kind of started to realize, I'm like, that seems really, really damn hard. I had a whole new respect for it. But wrestling has done so much for me. I think, if I look at my powerlifting career, powerlifting has done some things. It has helped give me exposure. Wrestling has helped create not only exposure, but it's helped me be able to communicate and reach so many more people because of the promos and stuff. When I first started, cutting those promos was hard. They'd say, all right, Smelly, you're wrestling Cena, and you got it 30 seconds, and you're wrestling him here at Stone Cold's house. You're at 317 Gimmick Street, and so on. And I would just turn red, and I'd be didn't know what to say, and was really bound up. Over a period of time, I got better with that, and then now, doing all these YouTube videos and getting more comfortable. Powerlifting also gave me that opportunity as well, just because I could actually just film the lifting, which was something I was good at. And then when I was done lifting, I could talk about the lifting, which I knew a lot about the lifting because I was super passionate about it. So I never really felt apprehensive with a lot of that. And then as we skated forward, I've got more and more comfortable to the point where it's not a big deal anymore.
Going back to your days when you were in the ring, when you were down there at OVW, who was running the show back then? Was it Les Thatcher, or had he already moved on?
It was a guy by the name of Rip Rogers.
Rip Rogers.
Yeah.
What did you think about Rip?
Rip Rogers was amazing. he was a lot of fun. He had a lot of great concepts. I learned a lot from him, and there's still things that I repeat from him today. I can still hear his voice sometimes in my head when I'm just training, when I'm just lifting, because he yelled at us so much. But what was a wrestler that came out of OVW? He had a gimmick where he was pretty slow, and he had Eugene.
Yeah. Nick
Dinsmore. There we go. So Nick Dinsmore is going to walk in from one room to the other, and he puts his hand out straight with his palm, his back of his hand facing up towards the ceiling, and somebody else is coming through the other side of the door, and Eugene like jams his fingers on the door because somebody came barreling through the other side. And he goes, and Rip is there. And Rip goes, God damn it. He's like, don't you know how to open a door? He's like, you got to go out there and work tonight. And he's like, now you bust. He actually like broke his finger.
Yeah.
Like it was a huge deal. Like his finger was really jacked up. I don't even know how it happened. But Rip said, he's like, boys, he's like, do I have to teach you guys everything? And he's like, here. And he got everybody together. He's like, here's how you open up a goddamn door. And he goes, you got to be able to work, and you can't work if you're hurt. Every other word was MF this, MF that, right? And he shows us, and you put your hand under. You face your palm up to the sky. He goes, you do it gently, in a loving way. He goes, just like we would in the ring when we're working with each other. So stuff like that was a lot of fun, you know.
But he's very constructive with his criticism, and he's a real smart guy. He really knows a different level of the business. I had him on a podcast a while back. I'd love to sit and chat with him in person, but he just the way he says things.
He had so much knowledge too.
You know what? I did this. I wrestled probably 15 years. I still consider myself in the business because I'm so close to it.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, I've been around a long time, but I've never really heard anybody phrase a lot of things like Rip has the ability and knowledge and insight to do.
Yeah, he was amazing, and even just in terms of how I work out and stuff like that. I remember some of those workouts that he did. He wasn't just trying to kill us with conditioning. He was just trying to give us, normal spots and stuff. But he would have, a fresh guy would come in the ring every few minutes, and you had to try to hang in there with him and stuff. He was just a lot of fun. And then the other thing I really liked that he did a lot was he would get us all together before our class, basically. And he'd go, all right, boys, what page are we on? And we had to answer him every morning at 8 o'clock and have to say page 43. That was just his thing. Like, I don't know why, but I use that all the time. I say it all the time at seminars. I'll say, hey, that was on page 43. Like, make sure you brought your number 2 pencil. Like, don't forget that. I keep hitting people up with that a lot. The other thing that I got from him, and this is something that I'll carry with me the day I die, is he said, they talk about a lot of these big prospects that come in. These guys look great. These guys are jacked, and it's supposed to be the next Undertaker, the next Kane, or the next this or the next that, the next kind of big thing, right, in the business. And you have, a guy like Nathan Jones comes to mind. Nathan was a good friend of mine, but things just didn't work out the way they were supposed to. They built him up real big. But Rip just had a really, really great saying that went along with some of the failed projects of some of these people that were coming in. He said, eventually the bell has to ring. And I love that analogy. Like, eventually you need to have substance to yourself. That's the same with this Instagram stuff that's going on. It's the same with people becoming famous and popular in the fitness industry, or people becoming famous and popular without a lot of substance. Like, where are you going to be in 5 years, and how's that actually making you feel? Like, is that good? Like, it doesn't seem that great to me, So I like that saying a lot. Eventually, the bell has to ring.
That's a good one. A couple questions before we wrap this thing up. Where are you headed after this? You get some more meetings, more podcasts? What?
I'm heading to see Jen Wiederstrom. She's Biggest Loser trainer. You've seen the show Biggest Loser? Yeah. So going to she's supposed to put me through a workout. That's going to be awful.
Workout number 3 of the day.
Workout number 3 of the day. So that's where I'm going after this. Then after that, right back to Sacramento.
Flying or driving?
Flying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the hell else we have going on. We always have something going on, it seems like. So there's just a lot of things going on. I know that we have a family vacation planned. We're going to go to Canada.
Family vacation.
We're going to Canada. I've never been to Toronto, so I have some friends there and stuff too. So we're going to hang out up there.
God dang, it's a long ways away.
I know it is.
What kind of time y'all going to take to get up there? Because I mean, you're going to take a day of traveling. A solid day.
Yeah, we're going to be gone. I think a total of like 7 days. So we got like
enough time to get there and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to that because it's. My son is 13, my daughter is 9, and at this age, they're just a lot of fun.
Well, that'd be cool. My wife and I are trying to plan a trip to Santa Barbara, just kind of get away. Man, we've been dealing with contractors and everything over here for so damn long.
Yeah.
And now that we don't have the Broken Skull Ranch to take care of, it's like, go down there, hey, we got to mow the grass. I'm so OCD about it, keeping that place looking like a state park. So I'm not a vacation guy. Man, I ain't been on a vacation.
Isn't
real
Broken
vacation.
Skull Ranch enormous?
Yeah, well, it's 2,000 acres, and I never went down there when there wasn't a boatload of work to do.
Yeah.
But enough about that. I've talked about that in the past. I want to talk to you. I'll ask you things about pro wrestling. What was, to end on a positive note, I'll ask you this one before I go to that one. What was the worst things you liked about the business, or the worst things you experienced in the business or observed in the business? The pitfalls, cons, or what you didn't like about it?
One thing that I recognized right away was that there's just some really, really talented people in this world. And I remember a really simple drill that we did in wrestling. And this is probably one of the better things I learned from wrestling. We would hop in the ring and hop out of the ring and hop in the ring and hop out of the ring, and then we'd go down the apron and we'd do that a bunch of times. Maybe we'd do it 2-3 times and warm up, or however many times we did. I don't even remember. But, every once in a while, somebody would just be really, gifted at being able to do some of that. They could jump high or whatever it was. Now, I remember, every once in a while, somebody would, end that little circuit with a backflip or something like that, right? They'd hop up to the top rope from outside the apron, and they would do a backflip into the ring, land on their feet. And every once in a while, a couple guys would do it. And I'm thinking, man, I can't, that ain't me. I can't do that. And so you'd watch some different people do some different crazy things, and I recall Shelton Benjamin hopping up there like it was just nothing. It didn't even look like he used, a lot of times we're catapulting ourselves with a rope to help us jump. He did look like he didn't even really do much of that. Not only did he jump up there, but he ran all 4 corners of the ring while he's standing on the rope. Undertaker back in the day would do that walk on the rope, real impressive. But this guy, he ran around the whole damn ring and ended it with a backflip. And it made me realize, that there's some really talented people in this world, and people have different talents. So he's good at that. He was also a collegiate wrestler and an amazing one at that. And it made me kind of recognize that a huge part of knowing who you are is what my dad always says. A huge part of knowing who you are is knowing who you're not. And when you're able to identify that, I think then you're able to start to blaze your own trail and blaze your own path, because then you know more about what it is that you have inside that you can provide to people, rather than trying to make something happen that's probably not there.
That's a great story. But just as far as, did travel affect you?
Mm-hmm.
Did some of the things that surrounded the business affect you, or get to be a part of your life? Or just the bumps, the bruises.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a tough-ass life.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you spent on the road. Mm-hmm. First of all, just like you said a while back, it's a long ways to get to the top.
Yeah.
It's like the old AC/DC song, and it goes back to y'all's tag team name, Hell's Bells. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But how much time did you spend on the road? Did you like traveling?
Most I spent on the road was maybe 2 weeks, because I went to Japan and did a tour there. I loved it. I liked it a lot.
How'd your body hold up for you? What about
body held up pretty good. One thing I didn't like about it, and I think it's more me than anything else, I'm not a person to hang out in groups. So I like 2 or 3 people, and then I'm kind of I'm not necessarily by myself, but I don't like to really F around a lot. You know what I mean? I like to have fun. I like to laugh, but I feel like I'm wasting time. I feel like I'm missing out on something. And so there was kind of a lot of that going on, and I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So that kind of leaves you ostracized a little bit from some of the group, you know what I mean?
Well, I know you like to have a glass of wine every now and then. Like I
Right.
said, I know your wife loves her
Right.
red wine. But did you get caught up in the drinking scene? Because it doesn't seem like you were ever a party guy to me. And,
No,
and
no.
I just know you from your bodybuilding, your powerlifting,
Right.
and as friends. But we don't ever hang around. You live in Sacramento, I
Right.
live here. Did you get caught up in the party scene at all?
No, I never got caught up in that. And even still today, even with my group of like powerlifters, I don't really love, like, I like hanging out with some of our employees and stuff, and I like doing a lot of that stuff, and I like going to lunch with people, but sporadically, kind of like on my time. I felt like when I was wrestling, sometimes you just had to go hang out with whoever for 6 hours, 12 hours, and that's just the way it was because they were traveling with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, I mean, you'd pile a bunch of people in a car because you was trying to split bills as many ways as you could because you ain't making no money.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, when you start making a little money, then everybody kind of starts going solo, or maybe there's two tandem guys or whatever. I was kind of like you, I was in that group because we needed to save money.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started making money, man, I'm Lone Wolf McQuaid. I'm going to do my
Yeah.
own thing. I like being by myself.
Right.
I'm not lonely by myself. So I was kind of like you in many ways. What was the thing you liked most about the business?
I like being able to get in there and tell a story, be able to get in the ring and good guy, bad guy type deal. That was a lot of fun. And once I got, just like anything else, if you become good at it, or at least decent at it, then you can have more fun with it. And so that was a part of it that I liked. And I still think that helps me today with trying to make sure that, like, when we have a YouTube video, we just had a Brian Shaw video where he ate all day and he ate 12,000 calories, and it went over 1 million views in just a couple days. I like being able to tell a story. When I look back at the videos that we start to put together, I'm like, just does this have a beginning, middle, and end? Does this have something that people can kind of gravitate towards? And in wrestling, that was one of the greatest lessons I learned, was just watching the heel continue to be the heel. He just, every opportunity he gets to be a chicken, or every opportunity he gets to cheat, he's going to do it at every turn. And every opportunity that the good guy has to be good, he's not going to cheat. He's not going to take the easy way out. And it was always rewarding and always fun to see, like, the bad guy, not getting away with it, kind of thing. And so I always like that aspect of it, telling a story in the ring.
Watching you work here with Joey Ryan, did you work pretty much your entire career as a heel, or did you work baby any?
Mostly heel. Yeah.
So then it's a different response, once you go to the ring. I mean, as a baby,
Right.
Man, as Stone Cold, man, when that glass broke, it was an adrenaline spike that, you really can't explain. If you
Yeah.
could put that and market it as a drug or sell that, I mean, you'd be
Right.
it would outsell crack, I'm sure. I've never done crack. But as a heel, I love working heel the most.
Right.
Now it's a different feeling going out because it's booze.
Right.
Sometimes it's not all booze, but man, when you're that white hot baby face, that's an adrenaline spike. How'd you like being in front of the crowd?
I liked it. Yeah, after a while I liked it. At first I didn't. At first I was
Everybody's nervous.
Yeah, I was real guarded and super nervous. But yeah, after a while I started to really like it. I got some cool opportunities over the years. Got to wrestle at Sumo Hall. That was really cool when I was in Japan. Also got to do there was boxing on TV years ago. I want to say it's called Tough Enough, but that's not the right. Do you know what it's called? Tough Man Contest.
Right.
So I was involved in a Tough Man Contest, and I got to go. We went to Detroit, and I got to fight in a Joe Louis Arena, and there was a few thousand people there. That was pro wrestlers versus football players. And I won, it was just a regular boxing match, and I boxed when I was younger, so I won my fight and stuff. But that was a huge adrenaline rush. It was just a 3-round fight, and we got towards the end of the fight, and I just remember watching it on TV, and I'm always like, man, why won't that guy step it up? There's only a minute left. So I just went for it at the very end, and I actually ended up knocking the guy out of the ring, and I won the fight. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. The crowd went crazy too, because anytime there's any sort of knockout or anybody gets hit hard, the crowd goes crazy. And it was also a cool learning experience too, having the guy that I fought was probably about the same body weight, but he was really lean. He was really fast, and he was hitting me with a lot of shots, but because of my boxing experience, I had my hands up the whole time. Then I started getting pissed off because the crowd kept reacting to what he was doing. I'm like, he's not hitting me, and so I had to wait until he just stopped throwing so many damn punches to finally hit him with something.
I got a question for you. Here's the big one.
Uh-oh.
You ready? When's Mark Bell coming out to try out for the Broken Skull Challenge?
Oh, the Broken Skull Challenge. That
toughest damn show on television. We're starting up on July 21st. Sure would be neat to see you down there in one of them challenges. See if you could work your way through the brackets and take that skull buster. Your big 250-pound ass, you'd be the biggest guy to get through that skull buster. What do you think?
I don't think I stand a chance. I've seen the show, and it looks brutal.
Well, I want to say, I know you're not coming to Broken Skull Challenge. You got other things to do. You're traveling around the United States. You're killing it with supertraining.tv and everything that you're doing. I want to give you a shout out and props. I love your Keto Pro protein. I've been on my keto diet for probably a month and a half. That's one of my go-to. It is my go-to. As a matter of fact, I got about maybe 3 scoops left. No, I'm not asking. I'll get it on your website. But you gave me 2 bottles or 2 cans of it. And I was like, I'm kind of looking at this stuff, and I'm thinking, nah, not so fast, my friend. It's 25 grams of protein, 9 grams of fat. And I'm thinking, hey, protein needs to be higher. Well, I didn't know anything about keto.
Right.
So it's a lot of times what I'll do, I'll just take a scoop and maybe just a smidgen of another scoop. I'm guessing around 30, 35. And then, I'm getting that 9, 12 grams of fat. And then I'll, maybe a half an avocado, full avocado, or whatever. I'm jacking my fats.
Right.
So it tastes great. And this ain't no BS. And this is a straight up deal. It tastes great. And it works perfect for the keto diet. And that was a real smart idea for you to come up with it. When did you come up with that?
I had the idea for a little while, just like anything else. It takes some time. Every single thing that we make, every single thing that I do, we spend a lot of time on it. I'm just looking at like a hat that we have here. Just every single design and every single thing that we have, I'm never going to rush anything. I want to try to always make everything the best. And this product is similar. It cost me a lot of money to make that product, and so I'm not trying to cut any corners. I'm trying to deliver a good product. It's got hydrolyzed whey protein, has MCT oil, has flax oil, and it also has CLA in there as well. And so I'm just trying to make stuff that's good. I figure there's a saying, don't worry about the horse being blind, just load the wagon. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's kind of looking for that extra yard wherever I can get it. My head is down. I'm not worried about the margins. I'm not always worried about return on investment, like coming down here to L.A. every other month or so. These are just things that I don't think about. I think about trying to create great content and create great products. And so that project was something that took me some time because we had to get the flavor down. I tasted a couple of them, and man, it wasn't going good. So it took a while to get the flavor down just right, and now it tastes amazing.
Hey, man, your podcast, Mark Bell's Powercast, airs on supertraining.tv and just via your website or YouTube, correct?
Yeah, YouTube. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/supertraining06. And then you can also, my website where you can order some of the products like the Keto Pro is howmuchyoubench.net. And then the Powercast is Mark Bell's Powercast. It's on iTunes. It's on YouTube. It's all over the place.
It's blowing up, too. I had a blast being on your show when we filmed over at Christmas about a month or so ago. Who you got coming up?
We don't have any plans right now because we have 5 or 6 people. My brother's got a couple really good suggestions on some people, but
who's coming up in the lineup of what's coming?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I remember everybody that's on there, but there's some still from the L.A. trip. Frank McGrath. You got a chance to meet Frank McGrath, Mike Ryan. There's a few others from the trip that I made down here to L.A. last time. There's also Matt Vincent and Kelly Starrett and a bunch of other guys. Matt Vincent's somebody I recommended that you have on the podcast as well. He'd be a great choice. But yeah, like we're always trying to get great people on there, always trying to get great content. We're not just gonna always talk about the sets and the reps, although we do cover some of that. We're trying to get stories. We're trying to get people that are captivating, get people that are just not necessarily. I see some people in the fitness industry just not embracing that this is a long-term journey, and they're not always learning all the lessons along the way. So I'm not just going to have some random person that deadlifts 900 pounds on the show. They need to have more depth and substance than that.
There you go. There's been no depth or substance to this podcast.
This has been the worst. This has been the worst podcast you ever done. Just say it.
This is worse than the worst power cast that's ever been. No, I'm kidding you. Man, it was a blast talking to you. Thank you for coming over. Y'all were 45 minutes late. I've forgiven you for that already. You just smile across the table. You'll probably leave with a black eye. Y'all can take the windows. Y'all can take the stairs. I'm kidding. Mark Bell's been a blast talking to you. Continued success to everything at Super Training down there in Sacramento and your PowerCast.
How much do I have to pay you for all the plugs and stuff? What is that?
That 20 would be good.
That's funny.
Good talking to you. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I do, I want to say thank you to Mark Bell for being so candid and talking about the things we were talking about. This keto program continues. I'm getting down to fighting weight / filming weight. Broken Skull Challenge coming up July 21st. We're going to go out there and we're going to kick ass, and we ain't going to worry about taking no names. We will see who the best, toughest, baddest athletes on planet Earth are. Broken Skull Challenge, July 21st. Hell yeah. Hey, I'll give you something to watch. Go to supertraining.tv and check out the videos that Mark Bell has on his website. If you scroll through there, I'm not on the website right now. If you scroll through there, you will find a podcast where Mark interviewed me along with his brother Chris Bell. There's some pretty good comedy in there. We talk all things pro wrestling, just shooting the breeze and a lot of BS. Mark's got a good thing going over at Super Training Gym. And don't forget to check out his podcast, Mark Bell's PowerCast, on YouTube and on supertraining.tv. There's a lot of valuable information there for powerlifters and some for bodybuilders as well. Mark Bell continues to be one of the leaders in the strength game in the United States. Hey, man. I've been telling you guys about the Broken Skull Challenge. Yeah, it's coming up. We're going to start filming July 21st. All them old T-shirts I used to wear, they're at prowrestlingtees.com/Steve Austin. And I'll tell you one thing. We got some badass shirts coming up for this season. They're just totally off the charts. You will absolutely dig these rough, tough, macho, beautiful, badass shirts. I dig them. Hey, if you're thirsty and you want an IPA, I got a good one for you. It's called Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. It's made by El Segundo Brewing Company. They're at 140 Main Street over there in El Segundo, California. If you stop in LAX, hang a left, go down to the brewery, and have you one. Or stop by Total Wines or Whole Foods here in Cali if you can find one that carries it. Hell, everybody's buying that stuff up like a hotcake. Everybody wants to wash down a tumbleweed drinking a Broken Skull IPA. Hey, if you don't live or come to Cali, try InsideTheCellar.com. See if you live in a state, and they will ship you the best IPA in the United States of America right to your front doorstep, and you can try it there. Hey, check out my website, BrokenSkullRanch.com. It's got anything and everything that has to do with Steve Austin, and that includes my cold steel knives, the Broken Skull and the Working Man. One, a little bit more expensive. That Working Man, a little bit more cost-effective. Both high-quality, badass knives coming in multiple color combinations. And thanks for supporting all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page, and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Hey, folks, the 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, stomping mud holes and walking them dry, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.